Hello and welcome to the EmeraldPlanet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And we have a gentleman sitting right beside me who's actually looking at North America and the world as far as how can we determine the very best as far as what would be considered the green products, the services, and some of the technologies that are available in the consumer space as well as industrial and commercial. This is Dr. Arthur B. Weissman, who is the president, CEO of an organization called Green Seal. And Art, welcome back to the EmeraldPlanet.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Glad to have you with us. And tell us a little bit about what is Green Seal.
Green Seal is a nonprofit organization that was founded 25 years ago to try to identify for those consumers and other purchasers what are the green products and services that are in the marketplace. You hear a lot, even then, back in the 80s, and certainly a lot now about this is a green product, that's a green product, but we are an independent organization that sets standards for and certifies products and services as truly being environmentally responsible.
I think that's absolutely fantastic, and this is something that I'm sure that many people are asking about, is that you hear about all these different green products, or at least the claims of green products. Mm-hmm. And so how do you go about the process as far as allowing people to know, one, that they can actually depend on the certification, and secondly, the organizations that would come to you and say, hey, we'd like to be certified?
Well, it's a very painstaking process that we go through. Mm-hmm. First of all, we have to develop a standard for a particular product category or service category, whether it's windows or paper products or a service like restaurants, food service. And then after that standard is developed that identifies what are the key criteria that make that product or service environmentally preferable or more sustainable, then we get applications from manufacturers for those products or providers of those services. Then they go through a whole process where we evaluate the product or service to the standard. We do an audit of the manufacturing facility or the service facility, and only then, if they meet all the criteria, will they be awarded the Green Seal.
Now, once they go through that whole process and people see the Green Seal starting to appear on their labeling or at their headquarters or in the restaurant, at the hotel, how do people then associate that with the fact is this may be higher quality, it's going to be more environmentally friendly? How do they draw that correlation?
Well, our name was originally designed to convey that idea, Green Seal, mm-hmm. But of course with all the busyness in the green market nowadays and all the competing labels and the green claims that have proliferated, it has become more difficult to get the message across. But what we've done from the very beginning is that we require that any product or service that has the Green Seal certification mark actually explain in abbreviated terms underneath the mark the basis for the certification.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking at that, so I'm a customer coming in, again, to the hotel, the restaurant, the supermarket, whatever it may be, and they'll have that on there. What would be the benefit that I could realize myself as a customer by having this Green Seal displayed at these various locations as them having gone through that very elaborate process?
You as a customer know if you're going into a restaurant, if you're going into an office that is Green Seal certified, that the products that are being used there, that is cleaned by a Green Seal certified service, rather, that the products that are being used there or in the restaurant or in a hotel have gone through this rigorous process. And so your health is being protected more, the environment is being protected more because those businesses are using Green Seal certified products or services.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking at the 25 years, people have gone through this process, and there's probably a number of the organizations that are still with you over those 25 years. Mm-hmm. So what do they perceive as the benefits to them of having this seal of approval, if you will?
Well, there are many benefits that accrue to getting a Green Seal certification because, after all, we are a nonprofit third-party proof and a credible, very credible one, that that product or service meets a high standard. And so they can use it in their marketing. We are what is known as a market incentive program. And so they can use it in their marketing, the Green Seal certification mark, wherever they want to with respect to that certified product or service. And we have helped over the years, we've developed a lot of tools for the manufacturer or for the whatever we're talking about, the service, to show that they're using these products or services.
Mm-hmm. Now we have this sign here. It says Green Our Schools. Mm-hmm. What is that all about?
Well,
that's a little different tack than what I even realized that you were doing. So this is
indeed,
very good.
As I mentioned, we are in many places that consumers and ordinary people are, because most people spend most of their time really outside of the home, more than 50% of their time. They're in the office buildings, in schools, and places like that. And schools in particular are a very important place to make sure that you're using products that are good for the health of people and for the environment. And it has turned out, thanks to the leadership of New York State and the Healthy Schools Network, that New York State was the pioneer, and now there are 10 states like New York State that actually require by law that green cleaning products be used in the schools. All schools, K through 12, public and private.
That's absolutely fantastic, and this is something that's a great example. And I know that the restaurants is really a big area where you've pioneered the various products there and certifying the various restaurants. What do they have to go through as a restaurant?
Yeah.
Because many people are very concerned about the food supply and then also the health, safety, welfare that directly relates to food, as more people are eating away from home now, more prepared foods. And so this is something that's very important.
Absolutely, and it has a tremendous effect on the environment as well as on human health. And we did original research on the impacts of a food service or restaurant. And it turns out, not surprisingly, that most of the impacts come from the food, not necessarily the light bulbs or the paint on the walls or the air conditioning, although those are all relevant and important. But over 90% of the environmental and health impacts come from the food that that restaurant or food service selects and puts on the table. Because of all the agricultural impacts, you can think of energy and the transportation, processing, pesticides, and also the waste. We know from a recent study that almost half of all food in restaurants goes to waste. As well as at the home. And so all those are factored into our standard for a restaurant to be certified. It has to choose more sustainable food and not waste the food. And then it has to do all the other stuff, use green cleaning products, lighting, etc.
Well, and also too with the hotels, this is a really good scene that you have right here. And this is something that's really important because not only are more people eating away from home, people, regardless of the economy, people are traveling more and they're staying in more facilities away from their home. So it's really critical they do that same thing, and that goes back to the cleaning and all that. But looking at the packaging and all the other aspects, this is something you just touched on, Art. But let's go in a little, delve in a little further, because it's the balance between the economy and the environment that's what you're really getting at. I think that's really the essence of what Green Seal is all about. And this symbol here, how do you strike that balance so people feel like they're getting the best economy, but the best as far as what they have
for
the environment?
It turns out, Sam, that the two go together. When you don't waste, you have a greater economy. And indeed, we do require that packaging be reusable or be the minimal weight possible or recycled and recyclable. And there are companies that we can discuss that have centered their whole business strategy around the kind of packaging that they use. But as an example, one of our standards for chemical cleaning products requires, when they're used in office buildings and schools, that they be concentrated. Why is that important? So that you don't ship water all around the country, wasting the energy. They fill it up, they dilute it for the use at the site, rather than sending the as-used concentration on
millions
trucks.
of gallons of water.
Just
and
shipping
something
around
is,
all over the place.
Yeah. And of course, as we need to conserve more and more water with the drought conditions in many
Absolutely.
areas of the country, all over the globe, this is something that's really critically important. Looking at these awards and all that, how do you recognize the organizations that actually go through your process so that they feel that we're really doing, as much as we possibly can, and it's kind of the incentive, we're doing great today, but we want to do more even in the future.
Right. Well, Green Seal tries to do a lot. We have our website where we post all of the products and services that are certified by the company name. And then we help them promote it in many ways, such as you can see in this picture here. Whenever there's a trade show where they display their certified products or services, we give them those ribbons that tell how many years they've had the certifications. Hotels can post signs on the door handles that I think we had a picture for.
Sure did.
Many other tools like that. And furthermore, we have just established a new what we call a client services program, where we work one-on-one with each client that is interested on how they can better promote their certified product or service.
And this green buying guide is something that's really important too, and this is something that comes from your organization as well.
Yes, that's some of our earlier work, but a lot of it is still relevant, and kind of the current transformation of the Office Green Buying Guide is that we've just established a Green Office Partnership Program starting in the Washington, D.C. area. And we have now about 14 partners that are showing their leadership. They're not certified, but they're partners who are trying to have better practices in terms of what they purchase and how they use their computers and things like that.
In essence, working towards full certification.
Well, it could become that eventually, but right now it's just a kind of a partnership that we're working
Anytime
with
you
them.
come on, Art, we never have enough time to finish up, so we're going to have your new book on. But what do you see for the next 5, 10, 15 years for Green Seal?
Well, we've made tremendous progress in the last 25 years in these more institutional and commercial markets, including restaurants and hotels. And the next frontier is really to the consumer's home, where we want to really transform that in the same way.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. This is Arthur B. Weissman, who is the president and CEO of what's called Green Seal. And this is something that you can look for as you travel around, go to the restaurant, the hotel, wherever you frequent. If you don't see it, ask for it. Thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. One of some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very holy about green. Nothing very nice. Holy fire. So the gorgeous force is what you desire. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water.
At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site.
That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff.
You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People! The flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we're looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are moving us through the 21st century as we go to a planet of about 9 billion people. And so as we moving forward and looking for how we're going to be able to take care of and work with that is that what kind of products that are going to be available to them and how we provide, as we always say, the food, the fuel, the fiber, but beyond that, the packaged products, the food, the hotels, all the things that are bringing increased quality of life. And so as we're looking towards the 21st century, we have a gentleman who's actually been working for a number of years, and he's going to be talking about what he's doing. This is Daniel. He goes by Dan J. Rosenthal, the president of the Rosenthal Group, Inc., and he's going to be actually coming in by telephone with a special guest sitting right beside me, Dr. Arthur B. Weissman, who is the president and CEO of Green Seal. So Dan, welcome to the Emerald Planet, and I believe you're already here with us by telephone, correct?
I am indeed, and as well in spirit. It's great to see you both.
Okay, thank you for being here, and it's always good to have Art right beside me. He does a very good job, and of course the Green Seal is an excellent organization that we really believe in. But tell us a little bit about the Rosenthal Group, what you've been doing, a little bit of the history, and then we'll start talking about the relationship with Green Seal, but also at the same time the work you're doing and why is it important. So give us a little bit there, if you will, please.
Well, that's great. The Rosenthal Group's been involved in the restaurant business for a little more than 25 years now. We have 7 restaurants, including 5 Soprafina Market Cafes in Chicago, our flagship Italian restaurant called Trattoria Number 10, and a little Irish pub called Pogue Mahone's. I've personally been in the restaurant business almost 50 years, I'm embarrassed to say, and have learned a lot along the way. And one of the things I've learned is to respect people like Arthur and the great job that they're doing with Green Seal. So we're pleased to be supportive of that effort.
Well, I read that about you, 50 years, and I was saying by the photograph, and Art endorsed that. He says, you can't be in business 50 years, and that's a long time. You look way too young to have that kind of experience, Dan.
It's Photoshop, Sam, Photoshop.
Good vitamins, too, I'm sure.
Good food.
Good food, yeah, absolutely, with all those restaurants. But you've been in the business about 50 years, but when did you actually get the passion as far as the environment and try to balance the work that you're doing, your businesses, and at the same time increase the quality of the environment both inside your restaurants and also the surrounding environment?
You know, this march started for me about 9 years ago, Sam, and I really have my mother to thank for that. Mom was always an environmentalist, and she lived on Longboat Key in Florida, and for more than 20 years until she got too old to bend down and stand back up again, she was instrumental in overseeing the hatching of all the loggerhead sea turtles on the beaches in Longboat Key. And
my goodness.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And since a lot of the business in my restaurants is carry-out, we use an awful lot of plastic bags, actually around 500,000 a year. And as it turns out, plastic bags blow into the ocean, and loggerhead turtles think they're jellyfish, and they eat them and they die. It kills them. So symbolically, by using plastic bags, I was killing my mother's turtles. And trust me, that's not a good thing to do.
No, that's definitely not a good thing to do, and I'm sure she reminded you of that when she saw you, too.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So when that started, I made that realization, that big connection. I started looking for biodegradable bags right away. And I founded the Green Seal Restaurant Coalition shortly after that, so the restaurants in Chicago that wanted to get green with me could share in the knowledge and increase our buying power. And we've been doing that for more than 8 years now and have a great number of restaurants involved with us. Over 200 restaurants in the city now are involved in the Green Chicago Restaurant Coalition, so we're really on the march for sustainability in Chicago.
That's fantastic. And also, too, to trigger off of what you're just talking about, the plastic bags, it's not only just the plastic bags that the wildlife is eating, but also as it breaks up in the seawater, the little pellets never totally dissolve, and so the smaller ends of the fish and the microscopic beings out in the sea, they start eating that, they fill their gut, but it's absolutely nothing but plastic, and so they die from that as well because they're literally starving to death even though they're full. So there's a lot of things about plastic and things we do, as you know, Dan, on a day-to-day basis that really we have to think more carefully about, and it sounds like you're doing it in your restaurants and also working with Art. But Art's here with me. We've kept you on the phone, so Art, why don't you ask the next question?
And I might add that the Green Chicago Restaurant Coalition that Dan founded is a fantastic organization that we've worked with to try to help promote certification in Chicago.
That's fantastic.
But Dan, maybe just to follow up on your environmental awakening with your 7 restaurants, why did you decide want to get them certified to Green Seal, and what were the benefits that you perceived in the Green Seal certification?
Yeah, great question, Arthur. You know, when we started back in the beginning looking for more sustainable supplies and plasticware with our restaurants, we kept running up against incredible greenwashing. You know, companies all over the place were making claims that they just couldn't back up. And when we started looking at cleaning supplies, we found that some companies could actually prove that they were following sustainable practices because they'd gotten an independent third-party certifier to substantiate their claims. And that certifier was Green Seal. And when we did our due diligence on Green Seal, we found out about how tremendously scientifically based your organization is and how rigid your standards are. So Green Seal was really stood out to us as the gold standard for sustainability for many industries today. And when the time came to get our restaurants certified, we reached out to you, Arthur, and Green Seal, and as you know, we actually helped your organization along with the University of Chicago and the Green Chicago Restaurant Coalition to develop the GS 55 standard, which is now, in my opinion, the best standard in the country for verifying the sustainable practices of restaurants.
Well, looking at that whole process and triggering off of that is that, I mean, it really is a rigorous process. Art, the first time I ever met him, I mean, he was telling me about it. I don't know, it must have been 30 to 40 minutes for him to just go through the steps that was involved. And I said, oh my gosh, that really is rigorous. But what are some of the things that you felt like in the very beginning you really had to focus on in order to launch yourself into the process and then to finally gain certification?
Yeah, you're right. It is a rigorous process, and it's why we chose it. You know, good things don't come easily, and we had to go through several steps in several different areas to make sure that we qualified for the Green Seal certification. Garbage was the first one. And as you know, simply put, the world generates way too much garbage. You were talking about plastic and things. Most people know now about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a huge gyre of waste that lies out in the Pacific Ocean. It's about the size of Texas now and runs anywhere from a foot deep to several fathoms deep. It's just too much garbage being put onto the planet. We had to do something about it. So we create almost a ton of garbage per person per year in this country, and restaurants are a huge contributor to that. So at our restaurants, we try our best to divert as much as possible away from the landfills and either to our recycling stream or, in some cases with our restaurants, a compostable stream. So we recycle all of our plastic and paper and metal, and we don't use any styrofoam that breaks down into those nurdles or polystyrene, which is the same thing. So we're very proud of what we've done there.
Well, and taking it the next step, food really is a huge waste, and countries like India, even China, almost 50% of all the food that's produced actually is wasted. We're doing about the same in the United States. They say actually we're producing almost enough food on the planet right now to feed about 14 billion people. And yet we're struggling to feed, the 7+ billion we have. 2050, we're going to have 9 billion. So we really need to get very busy about economizing. So when looking at the food and how you took that one stream through the process, what are some of the things that you really had to look at as far as the use within the restaurants, and how can you be more economized as far as the production of the food and not having the leftovers that is so replete among most restaurateurs?
Sure. It's just a huge area, one which we've made really great strides. Broadly, in order to get Green Seal certified, a restaurant has to source sustainable meat, sustainable fish, produce, and do so locally whenever possible. With meat, when we started looking at the factory farming system that's used to produce most of this country's meat, we were really appalled at how unsanitary and inhumane the conditions we found. So we backed completely away from using commodity meat producers, and now we buy all of our meat, nearly 600,000 pounds a year, from sources that raise their animals in better conditions and 100% without the abuse of antibiotics. Green Seal also wanted us to source sustainable seafood, and we've worked hard at that. Fisheries are being stressed all over the world. There was a Wall Street Journal article about the cod vanishing from Boston just a couple of days ago that really underscores what's happening in the nation's oceans. So to help this area, we buy our seafood that's on the green list from the Monterey Bay organization, or has been certified as sustainable from the Marine Stewardship Council, which verifies chain of custody from the boat straight through to the table. That's a great certification standard. And finally, we try not to waste food. We have sophisticated production systems for scheduling and producing the food so that we don't overproduce. And what food is left over at the end of the day, we're very pleased to be partnering with a great food bank in Chicago called 0%, where all of the edible leftover food that's perishable can go to these organizations that they have made contacts with and get the food in good people's hands so that food doesn't get wasted. So we're pleased to be able to participate in that as well.
We want to have two last questions, but we have to be very quick, and the answers need to be quick. So, Bart, why don't you ask the next question? And
very quickly.
Get in and get out.
Quickly, you've had a great achievement here, getting your 7 restaurants Green Seal certified. What do you think is the real benefit that you're going to get out of that?
Well, certainly the public is becoming more and more aware and more intensely encouraged by where their food comes from, how it's produced, and how it's being handled in the restaurants, whether it's locally and sustainably produced. So we're right on the cusp of that. The fact that we can prove that we've got a verifiable standard that we've been working on just adds to our credibility, enables us to talk our walk a lot better.
Dan, we're going to lose you here in just a few seconds, but thank you for being with us. This is Dan J. Rosenthal, president of Rosenthal Group, Inc. of Chicago, Illinois. Thank you for being with us as we talk about how we're actually protecting and better using the natural resources of the planet, sourcing locally, and use the Green Seal as we create the Emerald Planet.
Saving for retirement might be easy. Like getting out. Diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking around the globe on a planet that's going from 7+ billion to 9 billion people by 2050. By that time, almost 80% of the world's population will be living in urban areas. And so how are we going to balance having 2 billion new people here as well as people moving from the countrysides into the urban areas? And how we're going to be able to take care of them. And we have a gentleman sitting right beside me. This is Arthur B. Weissman, who is the president and CEO of Green Seal. That's very much involved in looking at the products and the technologies, the services, and actually giving accreditation and certification for these so that people know exactly what it is that they're getting. And then someone who's going to be talking about the day-to-day workings of all this is Burt Klein. He is the president of what's called PortionPac Chemical Corporation out of Chicago, Illinois. And Burt is coming in by Skype. And Burt, I think you're with us, correct?
I sure hope so.
Okay, well, there you are. Anyway, Burt, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV. And tell us a little bit about what's called PortionPac Chemical Corporation. We have your logo on the screen, as you can see yourself, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. We were founded over 50 years ago on what would now be called sustainable values. And our basic premise was to create formulations that are higher concentrate by taking out the water, safer formulations for the people that would use them, and then to use education to teach people to use them properly. In essence, to have less is more. So less everything that they use that goes into the creation of the formulation to create more sanitation, more sustainability.
Well, looking at something, it's a very simple pack, and we can see that in this image right in front of us. How can something that simple have such a profound impact on the environment and also on the bottom line of the corporations, the schools, and any other institution that would use your product?
Well, think of the bottle that you buy in the store. The bottle that you buy is used one time. It's filled with 31 ounces of water and 1 ounce of detergent. So what we did originally was take that 1 ounce of detergent and put it into a pouch, highly concentrated, and by putting in a box, say, of 528 quarts, where maybe 12 or 15. The bottle that you see there is used hundreds of times. You fill it up with water in the most efficient manner, the one that comes out of your tap, and then you pour the pouch in of detergent, you end up with the same formulation. So when you think about that in our history, by teaching people the value of using less, of using the material properly. So in a basic case, you might have 528 quarts of PortionPac versus 12 or 15. The amount of plastic just from the bottles, think of about maybe a tower 6 feet tall, maybe 3 feet around, full of plastic. So in that same case, again, you might have a whole skid worth of product, what we fit into one small box.
I tell you, it's just absolutely amazing what you're doing, Burt, and the concentration of this and the actual reduction as far as use, and particularly of plastic. I mean, of any product that we need to use far less of because of the implication, all the implications on the environment as far as using hydrocarbons to make that plastic, and the supply chain and the cost of that supply chain, and where the hydrocarbons in many cases come from, and all these kinds of things. But anyway, as you know, sitting right beside us is someone that you know very well. Art is sitting here with me, and he's going to ask the next question. Art?
Well, and Burt, in addition, by controlling the portions, as the PortionPac does, it also controls how much of the product that the user will have to use, and that has reduced a lot of waste itself. So that kind of leads to the question, you're manufacturing these chemical cleaning products, and yet you're teaching your customers to use less of them. How does that work?
Well, it works in a simple manner. We always teach people the rule of one, which means 1 pouch per bottle, bucket, or tank. That means that the solution will always be the right strength. So it's strong enough to clean, but not too much detergent. If you're using too much detergent, it'll leave a residue and actually attract dirt and make your floors, your surfaces even dirtier. And it's not too light or too not strong enough so that you're not getting the cleaning that you want to get done. So in that process, we teach people to use the right products and use them properly, always measure them properly. But you also get control of the cleaning process. So let's say you wanted to mop an area once a day, 5 days a week. So for a month, you would use 20 pouches. You can give the custodian 20 pouches. Now there's an interesting ability with this because it's actually a management process also. If at the end of a month, that custodian comes back to you and says, I don't need any more, I've got plenty. Well, maybe they're not cleaning every day like you think they're supposed to be cleaning, or maybe they're not using a clean solution every day. On the other side of that, what if they come back halfway through the month and say, hey, I'm out? Well, are they cleaning the floor twice a day maybe, or are they using too much of the product? And that way you're able to control down to the individual pouch how much is used, and it helps you get a cleaner, safer, sanitary building. So in essence, we teach people to use less of safer formulations to get a cleaner building.
Well, and the whole thing about that too, that really fits into the ideology as we move through the 21st century that less can be definitely more. And that's what you're really teaching people. So this is a real educative process. I know that Art, through his Green Schools project, they're trying to teach the children the same thing and then take that same knowledge home to the parents. So that's really very important. But Burt, why did you decide to go through and become certified through Green Seal? What did you see, even before you got into that, what may be some of the outcomes and also the benefits to your organization?
Well, one of the first things that we recognized 50 years ago is that we wanted to use safer formulations, and therefore we built great relationships with our customers, and they learned to trust us in what we did, and they could tell, because if you have to think back 50 years, there were very harsh chemicals being used that hurt people, that just even using them might bring tears to your eyes, and our formulations didn't do that. So they knew that they were safer, but as more companies got into the idea of trying to promote greener detergents and saying that they are green, we realized that we needed a third party to come in and teach us. And I guess in essence, we're not chemists. Our customers aren't chemists in the sense that when we go out there. So they needed that independent third party with the right credentials to meet the needs of our customers. So we chose Green Seal because they're not-for-profit, and they have a transparent process for developing the standards. And it's not us saying that this is green, it's a reputable company, an independent company, saying that this is the standard and we meet that standard. And so it became very important for us that we had this third party, and what Green Seal does for us is they first say the products that are certified, they work. They're effective, and then they protect the natural resources, human health, and the environment. And that's been a great for us as we go forward and are able to communicate that to our customers.
Now, looking at the aspect of the triple bottom line, which is a current philosophy and been around many years, but now really has come to the fore as far as businesses are concerned, how has the Green Seal certification had other impacts on your company that would not be necessarily visible to outsiders, but something that's very important to the long-term viability and sustainability of your own organization?
Well, what Green Seal has done, I would say there's a couple things. One, of course, is it's been a great partnership for us. They've taught us a great deal. It's allowed us to keep and grow business. But there's another aspect where they inspire us to continually improve what we're doing. So internally, it's great. We've won some awards, and that helps us to be able to communicate to our own employees. Look what we're doing. We're Green Seal certified. Outside organizations are recognizing us. But then we can bring that externally also. And when we do that, our customers, our employees, they keep trying to raise the bar also. And so last year we set the goal of changing all of our formulations, and we wanted it to be, let's say, the platinum standard, with no VOCs, no OSHA, no hazards as defined by OSHA, and everywhere that Green Seal has a certification standard, we want to get our products certified, and we're almost there to be able to launch that this summer.
Fantastic. Art, why don't you ask the next question?
Well, and Burt, I might also note that you are marking this year, 2015, your 10th anniversary in having Green Seal certified products. So congratulations, that's a great achievement. But over that time, there have been some changes in the environmental sensitivities and consumer interests and demands. What are some of these changes that you have experienced and responded to?
And you have about 50 seconds to answer that, Burt.
Great. The two big ones that I would say is, first of all, the number of consumers that actually care about the formulations and the companies that make them. And then I would add that the FTC green guides that came out over the last couple of years really have cut the noise around, so that there aren't all these green labels that just, if you paint it green, therefore it's green. You actually have to have meaning. And that's made the Green Seal, our partnership with Green Seal, very important.
Now, looking at the painting right beside you and behind you, tell us a little bit about that, because that really goes to the heart of your organization as far as PortionPac Chemical Corp. Tell us about that, if we can get that back up on the screen.
Sure. When you think of whenever you travel, wherever you go to a restaurant, you go to a hotel, you want a clean organization. And we were founded on the fact that we're going to teach people to have a more sanitary organization, a more sanitary location. So if it's important to have a clean organization, then the people who clean are important. And so we educate them and we celebrate them. And this is a painting that is 30, 35 years old that just talks about the beauty of people doing the job and doing it well.
And I think that really goes, Burt, to the heart of your organization and the beauty that you see in the people you have with you, and also the people that you serve. So thank you for being on with us. This is Burt Klein. He's the president of PortionPac Chemical Corporation, and talking about how you can have sustainability, protect the environment, but at the same time take care of the health, the welfare, and safety of your own people, your families, as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo. I would like to speak English better. Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals.
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
Are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
we're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of EmeraldPlanet International Foundation, also the Director and the host for the EmeraldPlanet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis, looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we go through the 21st century. And we have three gentlemen who are going to be coming on with us and talking about how do we make sure that we protect the health, the safety, and the welfare of people in a multitude of different niches as far as the economy and education, healthcare, hospitality, and many other areas. And so I'm going to go through this long list of names. Sitting right beside me in the studio is Dr. Arthur B. Weissman, who is the President and CEO of Green Seal. And then we have Dan J. Rosenthal, who is the President of the Rosenthal Group, Inc., out of Chicago, and he's coming in by telephone. And then we have Burt Klein, who is the President of PortionPac Chemical Corporation, and he's coming in by Skype. So gentlemen, welcome. So we have Art sitting right beside me. We can see Burt here in the lower section of our screen. And then we have Dan coming in by telephone. So gentlemen, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Dan, I'm going to start off with you. And since you're coming in by telephone, and we have the emblem of your organization up here, as more and more Americans are having their meals outside the home, spending less time there, and going out to public places. And what do you see as far as the benefit of the Green Seal, but not so much from the Rosenthal Group, but from the customers, the people that are enjoying the service and the food within your various restaurants? How do they translate that seal into something that really means something to their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sam. I think that the simple fact that we serve over 30,000 people a week in our 7 restaurants in Chicago gives us a tremendous opportunity to talk better about what sustainability is, how important it is, and beyond that, how important being able to rely on certifiably approved products and services is as the country moves forward towards greater sustainability, because there's an awful lot of misinformation out there. Some of it's unintentional, some of it's intentional. And to be able to have a certification that you can rely on to look to know that you're really buying products and having services that are truly making efforts to be sustainable is very important as we move forward.
Burt, as far as hotels and other industrial customers that you have, how do they benefit from the triple bottom line and what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it, and how that, really controlling the amount of product that they have benefits them and also the people that are actually using it? You see the theme here is as we reach out to customers and the buying public, how do they really benefit from the Green Seal and then bring value back to your organization, PortionPac, bring back to the Green Seal itself?
Well, to be honest, being in business for over 50 years, we survived actually by the economic benefits. Saving labor and controlling the use of products was really how we went to market, because green products weren't very sexy. They weren't very desired. And so it was saving the organization's labor, the respect for the people, helping them be better at their job, and it's safer for employees and the occupants of the building. So in the end, we really worked on the economic side and the social side more than we ever did on the environmental side, in terms of how our customers thought about us or made that buying decision. So those economic issues, they're still big today, as they have been for all 50 years.
But it sounds like, and this is something you and I have talked about before, it's just like the painting right over your shoulder is where you're really honoring the people that work with you, but also the buying customers. So it really has a social outreach and social benefit beyond just the economics. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. It turns out to be respect. Respect for the people that are doing the cleaning, respect for the people that come into the business, and respect for the environment.
Art, as you expand, this is something that you've been around for 25 years. You plan to be around 125 years more. And so as you look at the benefits that have accrued over these 25 years through Green Seal to all these organizations that are members that are now actually becoming worldwide, why would the buying public want to look for that emblem and say, this is where we want to buy, we want to deal with people that have this kind of certification, and we feel that it really is better for us, not just the environment, not just for the company itself, but how am I, as the buying public, how do I benefit directly from that?
Absolutely, Sam. People more and more in their homes, when they travel, hotels, when they go out to eat in restaurants, or when they spend all their time working in an office, want to make sure that the environment that they're in is healthier for themselves, their family, but also many people more and more are concerned about the health of the planet. They realize that their home is the planet, a much larger home, if you will, that they have to be part of, and that they want to ensure is there for their children and their grandchildren. And so increasingly there's an interest in greener products and services, and it's no longer a fad. It's something that we all know has to be part of the future. It has to be a default that the products are more sustainable, and the services as well.
Dan, where do you see, as we move in the future, this whole notion of sustainability, and also I'm going to add another word to this, resiliency, as far as the food service industry and what you're seeing, because it's not just the 7 restaurants you have, that you actually have an association of, in essence, green restaurants throughout Chicago, and by extension, you're influencing people in other areas around the United States and probably even abroad. So where do you see the industry going in the future as far as both sustainability but also resiliency?
Yeah, I think it all starts with the food. Sam, and you look to any educational institution of culinary schools, whether it's Kendall College here in Chicago or Culinary Institute of America, all of these schools that are teaching culinarians and our chefs of the future are all emphasizing sustainability in their practices for purchasing food and using food in a sustainable manner. It's become part of the curriculum of every one of these institutions. So I don't see this as a fad that's going to dissipate. I see it as a trend that is growing incrementally with each graduating class of students and future chefs. These guys are being taught the necessity of utilizing food properly, buying sustainably produced product, and product that's good for the planet. So I'm very encouraged by what we're seeing. And McDonald's notification that they're going to be buying only sustainably raised poultry that's raised without antibiotics is a huge step in that right direction. They know they've got a problem, and they're reaching out to the sustainable people to make sure that they're serving product that people want to buy now. That's the big indicator of where things are going in the future in food service.
Dan, if I can just take it one more step, looking at sustainability and this kind of farm to fork, if you will. I know that's something that you're part of and you're sourcing more and more locally. Do you see that as a trend across all restaurants, even the national chains, or is it something in specialty restaurants such as what you have?
Well, there's a limited market, obviously, and a limited growing period in Chicago. It's hard for us to get fresh tomatoes in December, so we have to look to other sources. But I think that restaurants that are using seasonal menus, you're seeing a huge increase in that, and people that are looking towards using local products when possible is certainly part of every restaurant's mindset going forward. And I think you'll see menus improve to the point where you won't see so much shipping of plastic tomatoes from California to New York.
Got it. Burt, looking at the cleaning industry, same question there as far as sustainability, but also this resiliency, because as we go through the 21st century, we add another $2 billion by 2050. That means many more opportunities, but also many more challenges as far as the supply chain is concerned. How do you see this sustainability resiliency built in to what you're doing with your organization as far as PortionPac chemicals?
Well, I would say that one of the big issues that's always been a driver is the economic pressure. Our customers are going to want to control their usage and therefore their cost. They're not going to want to pay for water, plastic, cardboard that doesn't help their bottom line. You know, this is, in essence, is the message of lean. And so I think what you will see from the cleaning industry is more process-oriented cleaning. Organizations that use standardized cleaning processes that can be used across all employees, all buildings, and for large corporations across the world using the same cleaning process no matter where you go. And that in the end will be more sustainable because it's economically sustainable, and by using the right products, they'll be environmentally sustainable.
Well, Art, Green Seal really sees itself, based on our conversation and also from the members that we've talked to and met, that you really are becoming not just a national leader, but a world leader as far as sustainability, and the sustainable innovation really is part of the title for, you know, what we're talking about right here. So what do you see as far as this sustainable innovation, and how is Green Seal becoming a national world leader and moving entire industries forward as we go towards 2050?
Well, everything that Green Seal has tried to do for its 25 years has involved innovation, because our standards try to identify the cutting edge, the leading edge of innovation in terms of making a product or service more sustainable in terms of its impact on health or environment. We have just recently actually put out a standard that is for environmental innovation, where in a product or service or technology where we don't have a standard for really new kinds of products that were unforeseen. So we're trying in all sorts of ways. All of us in this enterprise are involved in a revolution, and Green Seal is trying to be at the cutting edge of it.
I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, and we're just running out of time, gentlemen. I'll introduce Dr. Arthur B. Weissman, sitting right beside me, President and CEO of Green Seal. Dan J. Rosenthal, President of the Rosenthal Group, by telephone. Thank you, Dan, for being with us and coming in that way. Burt Klein, President of PortionPac Chemical Corporation, and coming in by Skype. And thanks to all of you, and also dear viewers, for being with us as we talk about and look around the globe as we